Hello everyone, Anina back for VIVIDEARTH. I just wanted to bring you a quick update what's happening in the world. I felt it important to do a further update on the California fires. First time I reported on it was early days. I'd say the first 2 days of the fire, I reported on it. Gosh, and so much is happening and it's still raging on, and I think it's important to do another check-in on that and another update because so much has happened since. um, it's so complex and it's so confusing for many people because the source of the fire is not just one cause or source, it's multiple. Okay, let me just get my microphone so you guys can hear me. Also trying a different angle, by the way, because I actually normally sit in front of my, well, with my window at the back. And it messes with the light, and then I have to use artificial light, and it's not so fun. So I've kind of just moved to the other side of my office with the light falling on my face. Then I don't need those artificial light in my face, which I hate. All the blue light, the LEDs, I try and avoid them like the plague. Anyway, so yeah, what we see, there's multiple causes to these fires. Okay, we've seen the video. If you have seen it, if you haven't, let me know. But I think most of you might have seen the video of the direct energy weapons in the background. You can see them coming out of this sky, not from very high up, but definitely those caused a lot of the fires. Then there are other causes to the fires, which is the smart meters that a lot of these houses had in their homes. And I mean, a lot of these, whether they are celebrity homes or just, sort of normal affluent neighborhoods, I think most people have smart meters in their homes. And what we've seen is the currents that they shot through these smart meters have caused internal fires, meaning the house was lit on fire from within. There was nothing outside of it. We saw it also with all the trees and bushes not being damaged. So it's definitely not a bushfire, right? So that seemed to have been a cause. I mean, some of those things were caught on camera where you can actually see the houses from within, like literally exploding from the inside. And that's what a smart meter can do. That is honestly very possible, along with many other things. They can control your electricity, they can even do surveillance and all sorts of other things. Never mind the harmful EMFs that are emitted from these smart devices, which is why when we built our new home and sanctuary, I insisted on not having a smart meter, and I had the council. I insisted on having them replace it. I paid a lot of money for it because then they have to come and fit a box on the outside of your wall, and you have to pay your electrician and everyone else, and it's like a whole thing. But I insisted on that, and I think it was a worthwhile investment into my health and safety, and our family's health and safety. And so I'm very glad I did that. But the smart meter was the second cause of the fires. Then there were a lot of arsonists going around, and that was sort of later on in this fire that we saw them going from house to house and literally lighting houses on fire. So there's been a few causes to the fires, and I think it is clear that these are not good people that caused the fire. I did allude that potentially it could have been white hats responsible for this, but I think based on what we see now, that is not possible. I think maybe what I was feeling into is, I think ultimately, as horrible as these fires are and as devastating as they are, because literally, I think over 100,000 people may have lost their homes and been driven out of their neighborhoods, evacuated, etc. Buildings, schools, malls, shops, restaurants, parks, you name it, the whole, you know, all of it burned down in the Pacific Palisades, in Hollywood Hills, in different parts of California, and LA specifically, and different parts of the state caught fire at exactly the same time. So if it was a bushfire, that would have been impossible. At the same time, we saw a tornado literally hit the state, which is also kind of curious, right? How do you make sure a fire spreads quickly and is as devastating as possible? Well, you bring in high winds. And that is just very convenient, isn't it? that we had these very high winds come in as well. So to get back to what I was saying, so I think what I've been feeling into is the fact that, this is almost biblical, as much as it is very much planned and instigated by people that don't have humans' best interests at heart. Um, it's like a bit of a biblical event because, in a way, we do see Hollywood burning. Whoever did this, if you look at the bigger picture, and I struggle to explain this, but sometimes I can sort of zoom out and look at a time in history, as such as now, and not be so attached to all the details, but rather see it from the bigger picture point of view. And if you do look at it from the bigger picture point of view, it's almost as though this was kind of destined to be. It's kind of biblical. So whoever planned this, what we do know is even if the dark or the light or the white hats or the dark ones or the cabal, whoever plans it, it kind of always, in a way, in some strange way, work out for the best of humanity. And I know this is a strange thing to say, given how many people have suffered. Fortunately, it doesn't seem to be such a big loss of life, although even 15, 16 is more than what we should be having. But from a loss of life point of view, it hasn't been at least that devastating. So I don't want to be, again, insensitive to this whole issue, but what I'm saying is if you look at the bigger picture, it is kind of time for Hollywood and this, whole kind of region, Beverly Hills, all these very wealthy neighborhoods where not only celebrities and movie moguls own homes, but also politicians and, lots of foreigners as well. And we know, as I said before, it's a very much a cesspool because if you know what's going on underneath all of these areas, it is one of the biggest tunnel networks in the world. It's not just a network, but there's like an entire city under LA that's even bigger than LA going on, and that goes down 12 plus stories. Some of these tunnels go down as much as 30, 40 Ks under the earth. I kid you not. And we've seen this in the earthquakes that we've seen experienced around the world. We know that if it's deeper than 10K, very much likely it's a dam being cleaned out. And we've recently had some very big, very deep earthquakes happen. There's just been one in Japan. I think it's 6.9. If I'm not mistaken, I think that earthquake might have been, I don't want to lie, but it's definitely more than 10 Ks. And then there was a few earthquakes in Taiwan a couple of months ago that was like up to 36 kilometers deep. So this has been a very, very difficult operation. I do believe they're about 90% done with the tunnels, which is very encouraging. I mean, 10% is still a lot, but 90% is a lot to have cleared up and cleaned up. Now, just going back to the fires. So, what's also very strange, I mean, I reported on this last time, but there's the fact that there are no water in the reservoirs, there's no water in the firefighters have no water to fight this fire with. And that's been a situation that's been developing over a couple of years. It didn't just suddenly run dry. This was an intentional sabotage. Well, that's what I call it anyway. If you bleed the state dry of any water. And I think Trump's offered before to find a solution to this. I don't know the technical details, but there's a way that you can open up from other states to allow water to come into California. Now they say they wanted to save some little fish that no one can even find. So all of this was instigated and planned. And, these things are all planned actually years in advance. A lot of people are obviously saying, oh, this is, they want the land for smart cities. I don't think smart cities are going to fly. And quite frankly, I don't know how much power they have left given that Trump is almost in office. It's like a large last ditch effort. Maybe it is the fact that they realize that they are dead in the water, so to speak. I mean, the whole sort of MK Ultra control system, which is what Hollywood is. It's kind of the C three-letter agency headquarters. It's their main operation, isn't it? Because from this point, they are literally brainwashing the entire world. So they realize that they are dead in the water. A lot of these celebrities have already been removed, taken away, locked up, dealt with, processed, whatever you want to call it. Um, and maybe this was their attempt to kind of say, okay, we're moving to a different area. We're just burning the entire place down. Whatever evidence is left, we're going to burn it all down to the ground, and we're moving location. There's also the Olympics that are coming up on the 2028 in LA. So what are they exactly planning? I just feel like I find it very, very strange and confusing because they don't have much power left. Once Trump's back in office, it's going to be, you know, and obviously they are sacrificing Newsom. He has been not only a nuisance but also, you know, a failure in every sense of the word in terms of what it was employed to do, which was to keep the state safe, right? To run that place, properly. Yeah, so I just wanted to quickly weigh in on that because I think it's important to state that when I talked about this is in the early stages of the fire, and clearly it's taken a whole different turn. I don't know if we've ever seen such devastation anywhere in the world. The number of people and the number of houses and the number of square kilometers that have been devastated. It literally looks like some apocalypse. And if you've seen some of the flames, it does look like hell. It literally looks like hell, like apocalypse. The red skies, flames everywhere, tornado. It looks really, really horrible. And I can't help that again, that this feels kind of biblical and symbolic, you know, of the fall of the cabal and getting their own medicine, which is hell, in a way. We can only but speculate. The whole truth will come out in time. That will be revealed. But I think this event is going to have such an impact, not only on the US and more specifically California, but the whole world. And for those in California that were affected by those fires, it seemed to have affected most of the affluent areas, and they will never get back what they invested in their properties, it seems, businesses as well. So it's almost like it's forcing people to really look their life, to say what is really important, because I've worked my entire life like a slave to build up all of these things, this big house, all the cars in it, all the valuables in it, the boats, everything. And just like that, in a matter of one day, it can all be gone. And what do you have left? Do you have anything left in your soul, in your heart? You know, all of the material wealth that people have pinned their entire life and their entire identity on. That's their identity. I live there. I live in Beverly Hills Drive, and I have, the biggest mansion on the street. I own the most cars. Look at everything that I've got. I live this life. I've got it made. Never mind that many of these people are really, really unhappy when you really scratch under the surface. But so their entire identity, in a way, is getting destroyed. Now, many of these very wealthy people, they have homes in very, different locations. It's not their only home. It's just one of many. They have probably one, houses in multiple states, multiple cities, multiple countries. But in a way, I think it's going to help people look very differently at life and realize that material wealth is not all it's cracked up to be. And at the end of the day, when you lose all of that, what do you have left? Have you literally focused and dedicated your entire life on all these material possessions? Or if you focused your energy on your own consciousness, the expansion of you as a eternal, multidimensional being, right? So maybe a lot of people will look inwards that is affected by this tragedy, and they will look at their lives very differently, and they'll make a lot of changes in their lives. That's kind of what I'm hoping for, but we'll see. That said, losing your home, I don't wish it upon anyone. I mean, that's a horrible thing to happen. Never mind, what might have happened to all the pets, etc. But anyway, people are actually not allowed to return to their homes. There's a lot of reports of areas that have not burned, but that have been evacuated, and people are refused entry. Roads are blocked off. They don't know what's going on, but they are not able to return to their homes. And in the meantime, all these homes are being looted because they don't have electricity. So all the security systems are down, and um, their houses are being looted. Now, I think looted is kind of a crass word. If you think of the wealth that some of these homes have amassed, or some of these people have amassed and perhaps stored in their homes, possibly a lot of them have walk-in safes, where you store all of your art, all of your jewelry, your diamonds, your watch collection, your gold, your silver, um, all of the valuables that you have amassed over the years and invested in are possibly in these safes. So perhaps that's also a bit of a, we know that these guys, a lot of the deep state has been bankrupted. So you just have to like loot the whole of Hollywood and you'll have a couple of $1 billion, if not trillion, in your back pocket, right? Even these walk-in safes, they can drill through those walls because they have the luxury of time, because nobody's allowed there. We've even seen some fire thieves dressed like firefighters that have looted homes. So it's just a very, very strange story. But at the same time, the 40,000-foot view, it's kind of biblical. And yeah, we've known that the deep state is running like rats, and burning down their own castle is kind of strange in a way, but in a way they know that they are kind of, their stronghold is dead in the water, that they have to move elsewhere. Is it a land grab? I don't know. I just feel like a lot of these nefarious, whether they are individuals or corporations, their days are done. They done for, like literally done for. Anyone who's been caught committing crimes against humanity, and maybe this is just the last hurrah, and they don't realize that they're not going to get away with this, and they're going to pay even more. Yeah, it's very difficult to figure out the thought process because it doesn't quite make sense. In the meantime, we've got Trump's inauguration looming with a lot of threats, bomb threats, all sorts of threats going on that, they plan to bomb that inauguration into oblivion. It's not just Trump, obviously, it's this whole administration. And, the GOP and everyone that he plans to bring into the fray. So if all of that would be removed, what's left? But I really don't think the white hats are that stupid. So I think that is in hand. Maybe it's part of a narrative playing out right now to show people what's really going on. I believe something like, I don't know, 20,000 Rand, 20,000 police officers have offered to come in and help, and even from other states to help protect. So there's a whole, for the first time, really, a whole, what is the word? A schedule of events that has been announced, what is being planned and where. And, it starts on Saturday, the 18th of January, and it goes all the way to Monday. We've never seen all these things being released. So I find it quite interesting. And then you've got all these threats going on. And are they really going to be able to have it at the Capitol? Looking at all the buildup of the drone narrative and all of this, kind of paints a bit of a picture for me, which is part of them putting the narrative out there that all of this is possible. It can happen. So we're in for a couple of big surprises, I think, in the next couple of days. Expect big things to go down. It's not going to be life as normal. It's certainly not going to be your normal inauguration. But the one thing that I need to stress is no fear, because we know the white hats have been working for literally years at this, and they pretty much have everything in hand. So we shouldn't worry. We should trust the plan. And Yeah, just keep your wits about you, you know, do the inner work. Don't be too distracted that you don't actually get to spend time on you, which is the main, what is the word? The main show. I can't think of anything else. You are where it's happening. You are where it's at. So don't focus so much of your time externally. Make sure you focus enough time internally, because the better we become, the more evolved and as spiritual beings we become, the more ready we are going to be for what comes next, and the more ready we're going to be able to we are going to be able to lead. And that's why it's so important, you know, don't just be addicted to the latest intel, watch video after video after video. Trust your own intuition, like just, you know, feel into it and trust what your higher self is trying to tell you. And your higher self is dying to connect with you. So, you know, don't just brush it off, because you might regret it later. So let's be very self disciplined in how we go through our day, with mindfulness, with focus, making time for ourselves, taking care of ourselves, self love. Remember, if you don't love yourself, you can't love anyone else, not really. Um, so make sure that you don't neglect those things, they are super important. So, guys, let me just see what else. Also, today is a very interesting day, the 14th of January. So today in 1780, is it 84? Yeah. The Treaty of Paris was ratified by representatives of the United States and Great Britain to end the American Revolutionary War. So that is basically, you know, America's independence happened literally on the 14th of January. So that's a very, very interesting day. The treaty recognized the United States as an independent nation for the first time and established its borders. Also granted the US a large amount of Western territory. So that is certainly very interesting. Um, as I said, big earthquakes in Japan. So there's definitely some cleaning out happening there. What else? What else? Just to go back to the fires, just some stats. More than 15,000 personnel, including firefighters, law enforcement, and other emergency support personnel, continue to battle and support ongoing wildfires in Southern California, and they can't seem to stop it. It's absolutely crazy. The Palisades Fire Department has 540 fire engines, 44 helicopters, 115 hand crews, 66 bulldozers, 60 water tenders. And in Eaton, they have 375 fire engines, 16 helicopters, 50 hand crews, 29 bulldozers, 90 water tenders. It does look like a lot like Lahaina, but I don't think it was done for the same reasons. Anyway, guys, I think this is going to be me for the day. I hope you enjoyed that update. I will be back soon with some fabulous interviews as well. I'm sending you much love, and I'll speak to you soon.